Microphones are off, and before we begin, I'm going to ask Councillor Gordon Murray to lead us in a word of prayer. Councillor Murray.
Lord God and Heavenly Father, we give thanks that we are found seeking your guidance today and approaching the throne of grace through prayer. We give thanks that our first action in this committee is to seek your guidance, looking for wisdom and understanding in the reports before us. Help us, Lord, with our decision making in this very important committee to make the right decisions on behalf of the people of our islands, people who have entrusted us to do the right thing on their behalf. Lord, we pray for our communities at this difficult time, and especially the disadvantaged, those facing difficult, challenging circumstances, whether it be through financial anxieties, through this cost of living crisis. Lord, let us all remember that there is hope for a fallen world, and that hope is in our Lord and Saviour Jesus Christ, who died for our sins, who has overcome the world. Lord, be with the chair and the vice chair as they steer us through the meeting. We give thanks for all the work and preparation for the reports. And Lord, we thank the Chief Executive, the Clerk, and all officers of the Council involved. We ask you to bless them, Lord. Bless each member and draw close to those especially who are bereaved at this time. Draw close to those with health problems and make your presence known to them, Lord. Forgive your servant if I have said anything irreverent, Lord, and go before us now and forgive our many sins. For Jesus' sake, amen.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. You're all familiar now with the conduct of the meeting, so I won't go over that again this morning to save a bit of time. It's quite warm in the chamber today, so we'll try and move on to the agenda as quickly as possible. Just to make sure that you're hearing me, all hearing me online, Councillor McNeill, are you hearing me down the south?
Yes, loud and clear.
Good morning, thank you. I'd also like to welcome Rachel Brown, Audit Director from Audit Scotland, to the meeting. Welcome, Rachel. Are you hearing me okay?
Thank you, I am, yes.
And Martin's also present. Martin Devaney.
Yes, I can hear you okay, Chair.
Good morning, thank you. Okay, a reminder, the meeting has been recorded and will be made available on the CONUS website following this meeting. First item on the agenda is the minutes of the meeting of the 26th of April 2023, and that's for approval. Agreed, thank you. Item number 2 is declaration of interest. Members are asked to declare any interest they have in any items of the agenda. It will be helpful if members expressed why they're declaring an interest in the item concerned. Members in the chamber, please do so now by pressing your microphone on or remotely through Teams by using the raise hands function. I'm not seeing any declarations of interest either in the chamber or online. If there is any declarations, please you remind that prior to the relevant item and you adhere to the protocols as previously as you're familiar with. Moving on now to service improvement, item number 3 on your agenda. This is the Best Value Continuous Improvement Action Plan. It's a report by the Chief Executive, and it's to inform of the progress with the Continuous Improvement Action Plan and present the key findings for effective challenge and scrutiny. Now, I'm going to ask Fiona Nape to speak to the report. It's quite a detailed report. We've got a few detailed reports in front of us at the beginning of this meeting. I've asked the relevant officers who are the authors of these reports to be present in the chamber today to give us a detailed overview of what they have written, because I think they're very important for all members, and I think it's the best way to take things on board, to hear from the officers who are actually the author of the report. So first of all, I'm going to ask Fiona to speak to this report, and then I'll open up for discussion. Fiona.
Thank you, Chair. There's nothing for me really to add to the report other than to say that all 11 Continuous Improvement Action Plan actions are included in service business plans. So no information is lost, and post-COVID, all are progressing well. Thank you.
Thank you, Fiona. And good work going on behind the scenes there. Do members have any questions on this for Fiona? No. Chief Executive?
Thank you, Chair. Just to remind members about looking at Interplan, all of this information in detail is available in Interplan. If you don't consult that regularly, I urge you to do so, because it is, once you get past the inevitable admin, it's quite easy to read and follow. It's quite, and all the performance information for the Corvette is there, so do dip into it from time to time.
Thank you for that, Chief Executive. Thank you. Okay, members agree the recommendation of 3.1. Thank you. Item number 4 is a governance. The annual governance statement for 22-23, again by the Chief Executive, which seeks approval of the Comhairle's proposed annual governance statement for 22-23 for inclusion in the Comhairle's unaudited accounts. And I'm going to ask the Chief Executive to speak to the report, and he'll be available to answer any questions. Chief Executive.
Thank you, Chair. The annual governance statement is appended in full to the report, and I don't intend to go through that in detail. The executive summary sets out the context for the annual governance statement. It's an annual statement, obviously. It goes into the unaudited accounts, and it's just part of good governance. And a key part of it, of course, is a local code of corporate governance, which is the next item on the agenda. So just a couple of matters to bring to your attention. I mean, the statement is jointly signed by the leader and by me, and the conclusion is that the governance and internal control environment in the last year provides reasonable and objective assurance that risks were identified and action taken to avoid or mitigate their impact. That's our test, and the improvements, it said, have served the Comhairle well. And just looking on the negative assurance, if I can put it that way, you can see in the middle of page 3 that nothing came to the monitoring officer's attention. There were no monitoring officer reports, nothing in respect to the duty of candour, no complaints against any member, and nor have we been required to give evidence to any current inquiries. So, as always, governance requires vigilance, it requires nurturing, it requires commitment from everybody in this chamber and among the officers, but it's a good report, and we ask you to approve it.
Thank you very much, Chief Executive. Members, have any questions for the Chief Executive on the report? No. Okay. Members agree the recommendation of 3.1. Thank you. This is a follow-on now. It's a local code of corporate governance, again by the Chief Executive. It provides an update on implementation of the local code of corporate governance action plan and seeks Comhairle approval of the code of corporate governance and action plan for 22-23. A narrative of the action plan 21-22 is appended to the report. The action plan for 22-23 retains the theme of service redesign, but includes new actions on communication and the community planning partnership. All the actions developed relate to the best value assurance review undertaken in 2022. The actions detailed are under Dimension 1, Community Focus, Dimension 2, Service Delivery Arrangements, and Dimension 6, Engaging with local people and other stakeholders. Now, there's a recommendation for approval at paragraph 3.1 of the report, but I'm going to ask the Chief Executive to speak to the report, and Norma Skinner is also present. So, Chief Executive, first of all.
Thank you, Chair. And my thanks, first of all, to Norma Skinner, Head of HR and Performance, and other officers for their work on particularly Appendix 1, which is the code itself. Apologies to those of you who were at Policy and Resources Committee yesterday. You'll have heard my pitch for this document. That's Appendix 1, the code itself. But I will say it again, with your permission, Chair. This is a veritable encyclopedia of corporate governance, and if you or any of your constituents ask of you information on our corporate governance, here it is, and as important, here also are the links to the documents themselves. So do be aware of its presence. It's a very, very useful document in itself, but it follows, of course, a legal requirement to put in place proper arrangements, the governance framework for the governance of our affairs, and to facilitate our functions. That includes direction, vision, culture, values, operation of systems, internal controls, monitoring, absolutely everything that is the work of this committee. and indeed others. So I won't, you'll be relieved to know, I'm not going to take you through the document itself, but I'll just refer you to 6.1 in the report. Those are the 6 principles of the framework of delivering good governance, and that's how we measure our performance there. So Appendix 1 is the code. Appendix 2 is the progress update from 2021-22, and those comments are there for your information. And Appendix 3 is the action plan for 22-23, and that picks up points in the best value assurance report of last year, as these relate to corporate governance. Of course, there were other recommendations in that report, and these will be picked up through the work of this committee, amongst others, and through the ordinary work of the Comhairle, for example, the corporate strategy seminar next week, and the budget board deliberations in the first week of July. I'll leave it there, Chair. Happy to take, Ms Skinner and I are happy to take questions, but the recommendation is that you approve the code and Appendix 3, which is the action plan for this year.
Thank you, Chief Executive. And again, just like the Chief Executive said, it's a very important document for all members to take on board and to understand. A lot of our questions we do get asked as members, the answers are in this document. Members have any questions or chamber? No, online. Councillor Gordon Murray.
Good morning, Chair. Thanks for that. I just wanted a general question. I wanted to know, Chair, if you were happy that good governance was observed in the recent Midnight Sun payment. Thanks.
It's not on the report, Councillor Murray. So, but you do know my own views on that, and my own views have been expressed from day one regarding that. But it's not on this report, so you know I'm not prepared really to open that up for discussion at this stage. See, it's not a report in front of us in the committee.
Should there be a report coming to a future series of meeting on that subject?
I am aware that there are deliberations still ongoing between the Comhairle and the Midnight Sun organisers, so I'd be more happy to let that take its course for a while before anything else is done. I'll ask the Chief Executive briefly to come in just now, Councillor Murray.
Chair, as you've indicated, the matter is obviously very recent, and I have been keeping members fully informed through the update about what officers are doing to protect the interests of the Comhairle in that matter. I would think it likely that the subject will be referred to in at least either my own report to Policy and Resources Committee or in the Chief Internal Auditor's report to Audit and Scrutiny Committee and by way of update. But if a report is necessary, of course one will be brought. But we are at the moment still discussing matters through legal services with the organisers of the festival, and there is nothing more to be reported than members are aware through the members' update. But if a report is necessary, of course, it will be brought. And as I say, I can't imagine that the matter will not appear in reference to reports either from me, the Chief Finance Officer, or the Chief Internal Auditor.
Thank you for that, Chief Executive. Are you happy with that, Councillor Murray?
Yeah, it's just to ensure that we can see if due diligence was followed.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like I said at the beginning, you are aware of my own personal view on that from day one. So, you know, I did have my own concerns there, and that will be followed through. So, but we have to let the process take place just now.
Many thanks, Chair. Many thanks.
You. Okay. Recommendations there for 3.1. First report. Thank you. Councillor Murray, is that a legacy hand, or do you want to come back? Yeah.
Apologies, Chair, a legacy hand.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep. Moving on now to item number 6, equality statutory duties. Again, a report by the Chief Executive. This report details that the Comhairle met their statutory duty to publish progress on equality outcomes. And I've got Fiona Nape available to speak to this report and to answer any questions. Fiona.
Thank you, Chair. It is just for noting and was brought today because it was highlighted in the Best Value Public Performance Report at the last series to Audit and Scrutiny. It highlighted we had a statutory duty to report by the 30th of April, and this report is confirming that the Comhairle have met that statutory duty. Thank you.
Thank you for that assurance, Fiona. Thank you. This is for note. Any members have any questions for Fiona? No. Okay, thank you. We agree the report. Item number 7, Complaints Annual Report by the Chief Executive, which informs the Comhairle of the publication of the Complaints Annual Report for 22-23. Norma Skinner is present and will speak to the report, and she'll answer any questions. Skinner.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, this is just, as usual, our annual report, which is published on our website every year. Just to highlight, we have had 53 complaints closed over 22-23, and that's a reduction on last year where we had 68 complaints. 28 of our complaints were at stage 1, which means that they can be dealt with within 5 days, and 25 were at stage 2, which means that they're dealt with, they need an investigation and are normally dealt with within 20 working days. This year, 76% of our stage 1 complaints were dealt with within the 5 days, and 52% of our stage 2 investigations were completed within the 20 working days. There was also another 4 complaints at stage 2 where there was an extension agreed, and if those were included in our PI, that would take it up to 68% within the timescales. There's no clear pattern of complaints at the moment. When we're looking, we look every year at learning from complaints, and key things that we're looking at is communication. It's very often, miscommunication is very often at the heart of complaints, and looking at learning from complaints, which is really important. We've got an experienced team of complaint officers now in all the departments, and we help each other and share experiences. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you for that, Skinner. Good work being done there as well in the complaints, and it's good to. Members, any questions for Skinner? No. Okay. Oh, sorry, Trnorman. Didn't see you there. Trnorman Cloud.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not sure if is it actually.
I don't know if your light's on, Councillor Cloud. It's you now.
That's it. Sorry. Apologies, Chair. Yeah, I'm not sure. Is it actually classed as a complaint? I'm not sure. It's to do with when someone puts in a complaint about a pothole and they have damage done to their car. Is this something I can bring up here? Does that come under complaints? Is it?
Skinner.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. I wasn't too sure, so just. But anyway, I did have a constituent, and he did put in a complaint about a pothole. There was severe damage done to one of his wheels, one of those expensive wheels. Anyway, I told him the process. He had to go through tech services, etc., etc. And I heard only the other day that he got refused. Now, when I did ask someone in tech service about it, they said, well, this goes to the insurance, and it's up to the insurance to decide. I mean, how do the insurance decide that? I mean, if someone's been damaged by an obvious pothole which was filled the next day, how do they get refused any sort of compensation?
Yeah.
Can anyone answer that? Thank you.
I think Ms. Skinner probably can answer that. Or
Well,
Mr.
I'm not so
Langley,
clear on the process for legal for insurance, but maybe.
Maybe Mr. Langley, could you?
Thank you, Chair. Those sorts of claims do commonly go to the insurers, and as the council noted, they do make decisions in relation to whether they're going to pay for those claims. There are various issues. I wanted to go into detail about legal cases, but there may be various issues, evidential issues about the facts of the incident, the severity of it. So there will be various reasons why an insurer may decline the claim. Happy to discuss the details of that outside in relation to that particular one, if that's a help. But I can't speak for the insurer who makes their own decisions in relation to their claims, and they have the absolute right to decide whether or not they will pay out on a claim. But I say I'm happy to discuss the details of that one outside the meeting.
Perhaps you could speak to Mr. Langley, Mr. MacLeod.
Yeah, well, I just find it sort of...
Before we go too much into a specific case.
Oh, no, I wouldn't go into a specific case anyway.
Yeah.
Just find it sort of strange that it's not the council that make the decision. Why is it insurance? It should be the council, really. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Gordon Murray.
Thanks, Chair. I listened to what Ms Skinner was saying about complaints regarding communication, and I wanted to ask what has been done to address this issue with the communication problems. Has anything been discussed with the team or whatever to try and resolve some of these obvious communication issues? Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Mrs Skinner.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yes, what we do is we share practice, not details of complaints, obviously, but we do share kind of experiences and the learning from complaints. It's usually that the complaint is about something different, but very often when you investigate it, that miscommunication forms a key part, you know, of kind of the escalated circumstances, and that's what very often ends up in a complaint. And the more complex complaints, I should hasten to add. But we do share experience and we do learn from each other, and we are always available to each other to help with any complex areas.
Thank you. Are you happy with that, Councillor?
Yeah, thanks. That's very reassuring. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Okay, nobody else? No? Members agree to note the report then? Thank you. We now move on to the risk management section. We've got two reports. The first one's item number 8 in your agenda, strategic risk. Again, a report by the Chief Executive which seeks approval for the strategic risk register. The corporate management team approved the register on 22nd May 2023, and an update will be provided to committee on an annual basis. Now, I've asked Rebecca MacLeod today to come in and to give us quite a robust overview of the work she's doing with risk, because I think it's something that's close to my own heart, is monitoring risk all the way through. And I know Rebecca does a power of work behind this, and we can see this in the reports that we do have, the next two reports that we do have. So we'll take the strategic risk first of all, Rebecca. So do you want to speak to this report, and then we can open it up to questions?
Thank you, Chair. So corporate management team have discussed and approved the strategic risk register, which is appended to the report at Appendix 2. If I could ask members to look at that, please. Since last reported, 3 risks have been added to the register. The last 3 on the last 3 rows: SR20 regarding the construction market, SR21 cost of living crisis, and SR22 regarding the uplift in construction and related activity expected over the next decade. No risks have been removed since last reported. 5 have been downgraded. So the first one, changes in external political leadership. Number 4, regarding the local economy. SR7, health and wellbeing. SR13, service delivery. And SR17, an emergency planning event, which was added at the beginning of the pandemic. And 1 strategic threat has been increased, that's SR3, regarding Comhairle finances. So in future, I will actually add this to the report, to the Appendix 1 for clarity. So Appendix 1 contains a pictorial representation of our strategic risk profile. And it shows the 4 highest threats we currently face. So the 2 matrices you can see there. The first one is the risk rating as it currently stands, and the second is the risk rating we aim to get to once controls have been put in place. Our 4 highest threats are cost of living crisis, finances, climate change, and cybercrime. All inherently high risks. We're doing what we can, and there's ongoing dialogue with the IT manager and resilience manager regarding improving our cyber resilience at the moment. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you for that, Rebecca. Thank you for all the good work you're doing there as well. I think a lot of that work is probably missed by a lot of people. They don't realise what does go on behind the scenes regarding risk and the movement of risks and from various degrees. Members have any questions for Rebecca? It's quite straightforward actually, what's the work that has been done, and it has been monitored, and we will begin this report coming before us on a regular basis. Okay, thank you. Members agree to note the recommendation of 3.1. Thank you. Moving on to item 9, again, this one's for Rebecca. It's a report by the Chief Executive seeks approval of the Corporate Business Continuity Plan. Siar's business continuity plans were approved in February 2023 as part of the budget working papers. Siar's business continuity plans feed into the Corporate Business Continuity Plan, which is appended to the report, and which, in the event of a major incident, assists the Comhairle incident team to deal with the incident and effectively minimise disruption to the service. And again, I'll ask Rebecca to speak to this report. Rebecca.
Thank you, Chair. Really nothing much to add to what you've already said. Like you said, services have business continuity plans. So in the event of disruption to their service, they have a plan readily available, which contains information including details of their critical activities, where contact details can be found, and various scenario and contingency plans. These plans were approved as part of the budget working papers this year, and they've been summarised in the Corporate Business Continuity Plan, which is appended to this report. So this is in the event of a major disruption affecting several services. This plan can be used by senior management to help direct the incident and identify which services need to be up and running and when, just to minimise disruption. And good progress has been made in this area over recent years, I'm pleased to announce. And our suite of business continuity documents is the most complete we've had to date. There are still a few gaps, but we've got plans in place to address these over the coming months.
Thank you, Rebecca. And again, good work there. You can see the progress that has been done, so it's excellent. Members, any questions for Rebecca? No? Okay. Recommendations for approval of paragraph 3.1. Thank you. We now move on to item number 10, to do with training, internal training annual report for 21-22. This report by the Chief Executive provides an update on the work of the internal training team in 22-23. Now, Mr. Murdo Mackay was going to be available today, but unfortunately he's had to go to a funeral today, so Norma Skinner is going to speak to the report in his absence. So Norma, do you want to speak to the report now? Thank you.
Thanks very much, Chair. Really, just to highlight, this is an annual report that we've been doing for a number of years now. It's looking at the courses that we're doing, the satisfaction rates with the training. So we've done 229 courses that are face-to-face or over Teams. We've trained over 1,100 staff, and that's an improvement on last year. We still did have some COVID restrictions last year. So 22-23 is showing an increase in that. We're continuing to develop new courses and to engage services and staff to participate in the training that we're doing. We do a lot of health and safety training as well. We're working on a new learning plan as part of the review of the organisational development strategy to try and have a strategic kind of way forward with learning and development. We're continuing to work to improve the processes that we're delivering, and the team are doing a lot right. Our satisfaction levels are at 95%, but development is always needed as well. But I think it's a testament to the work of the team.
Thank you very much, Ms. Skinner. Councillor Hossain.
Good morning. Thanks, Chair, and thanks, Norma, for that report. Just around, Norma, if we look at 7.4 of the report, which gives quite a variety of the training we deliver. I don't know if I've been led to believe that, especially some of our care staff from Houston Barra, they have to go up to Stornoway for some of this training, while at the same time, there is a trainer that comes from the Cancer Care Forum Initiative that delivered the same training. There is an NHS trainer that come down, especially I'm looking at manual and handling and medication administration and, like the first aid and things. similar training, since we're all in the IJB and we try to save money and save funding, why can we not share training? Why do we have to take staff up to Stornoway to do the same training that could be delivered here? Why can we not share the NHS trainer or the third sector trainer? And especially most of the time when they come down to train third sector, this agency we spot purchasing work from them, so they work into our standards. So just a remark, a question about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Zine. I'll ask Mrs. Skinner to come in.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, our trainers normally go down to Uist to deliver training, so I'm not aware of a significant number of employees who are having to come up to Stornoway to get training. It might be if they've got a course that's running out, like first aid, etc., you know, where it's time framed that they have to have refreshers. There may be cases like that. I will look into it. With regard to sharing training, it's something that I'm certainly willing to look at in more detail, and I can get back to you on that.
Thank you for that.
Thanks.
Back, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, Norma, it may be the other way around. It maybe that when our trainers are down, why do they not include the other third sector? Because we train into the same standard, and also the NHS, they have their own trainers doing the same manual and handling. So it just found sometimes a waste of resources when they're all trained to the same standard.
Thank you, Councillor Zine. I'm sure Ms. Skinner will touch base with you, Councillor Zine, about that and bring it forward if there's any way we can find a way to save money. I'm sure we'll welcome that. So
absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else got any? No. Okay. Members agree with recommendation at 3.1. Agreed. Thank you. We're now moving into internal audit matters, and this is item number 11 on your agenda. It's the internal audit progress report, and it's a report by Mr. Gomez, the Chief Internal Auditor, which summarises the internal audit activity within Comhairle and Siar for the period covering 1st April 2023 to 22nd May 2023. The activity has been based on the approved strategy audit plan for the 3 years to 31st March 2026 and the revised operational internal audit plan for 23-24. Sorry. And Mr. Gomez is present and will speak to the report. Mr. Gomez.
Thanks, Chair. Yes, I'm sure you're familiar with the progress report, so just draw your attention to Section 3, which shows the work that's currently in progress and that there are no active investigations at the moment. Section 4 has the follow-up reviews, and the appendix has a snapshot of where we are in relation to the operational plan for the year ahead. I'll just give an update on the vacancy in this section. The closing date for the trainee auditor vacancy was Monday just passed, and so I'm pleased to say that there was quite a high volume of applicants there, so hopefully things are looking slightly more positive on that front. And finally, I just want to mention that full internal reports now are in a new format, so hopefully this makes it slightly easier for everyone to just kind of read through and understand everything that's happening. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez, and it is really reassuring that we have had quite an high input for the vacancy, which is the exact opposite of the previous rounds we have had. So hopefully we can recruit to that position fairly soon. That is encouraging. Members have any questions for Mr. Gomez on the internal audit plan? No. Okay. Members agree to note this report. Thank you. Item 12, Internal Audit Annual Report and Assurance Statement, again by Mr. Gomez, the Chief Internal Auditor, which details that the Public Sector Internal Audit Standards, PSIAS, require that the Chief Internal Auditor prepares an annual report on the activities of internal audit, and that the report should contain a view of the adequacy of the Council's governance, risk management and internal controls framework. And again, I'll ask Mr. Gomez to speak to his report. Mr. Gomez.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, this is the annual report of internal audit activity as required by the Public Sector Internal Audit Standards. So the report details the activity in 22-23, as you said, including the assurance levels given to each report, which is detailed in Section 3 that gives an overview of everything we've done over the 12-month period from April to March 23. Section 5 details the overall assurance opinion of the COLA as a whole based on the work that we've undertaken. and reasonable assurance is what we'd expect to see here as the benchmark for this opinion. Happy to take any questions on the report.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Councillor Ray Mackenzie.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I think Mr. Gomez missed out the most important section, section 4 and 4.4 in particular. I think that's a tremendous achievement. Both the percentage of audit plan completed, which is obviously there was COVID and everything else on the staffing situation in the department, but to have reached 92% plus, I think is fantastic, and also the cost to the internal audit. That's really a tremendous performance on both sides. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Mackenzie. I'm going to ask the Chief Executive to come in there. Chief Executive.
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thanks to Councillor Mackenzie for these remarks. I too was going to mention them if someone didn't, but it's very good to see indeed, given the vacancy that's been there for most of the year. Also, I think Appendix 1 is what matters. Look at the level of conformance there. Fully conforms in all aspects. So that's a credit to everybody, of course, not just internal audit, but it's very good to see. Very good to see that indeed. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chief Executive. Thank you. Okay, members are getting note to report in. Yeah, thank you. We're now moving into completed reviews undertaken by internal audit. First one's item 13 on your agenda, corporate training. This report has been prepared following internal audit review of corporate training as part of the operational annual internal audit plan for 23-24. The report provides an overview of the Comhairle's arrangements for the operation and management of corporate training. And Chrissy McCauley from the internal audit team will speak to the report. Chrissy.
Thank you, Chair. If I can get members to look at page 2, the concluding remarks at 1.3. Quite a number of issues came out of this review, and one of the main ones we're highlighting are that corporate induction isn't being undertaken in the Comhairle as it should. This is fully expanded on page 9 and 10 for reading. And I'd also like to point out that the findings are not a reflection on the training section, but of line managers who should organise for new staff to be enrolled for the training. We found the training delivered is of a very high standard and the feedback is excellent. And at section 2, our new style, it's easier to read. You can see our gradings and the number we have graded against the gradings. And section 3, from page 4 onwards, our new layout, you can see the findings, the recommendations, the management comments and the target date all in one. So hopefully for easier reading. Any questions on this report?
Thank you for that, Ms. McCauley. Just, my own view when I see a red coming up on a report, I have to take action like we should do. I'm not happy that we've got a red on this one, given that there's something going amiss with the line managers. It's a shame when we've had a glowing report from training just a few reports back that we've got a blur through some. Maybe Ms. Skinner could come in and maybe I would also like Ms. Skinner to know what is going to be done with the line managers that aren't complying with this, because if they are stalling with things and holding things back here and causing this problem, what's going to be done to rectify this? Perhaps a report could go to the Chief Executive or something we need to identify who these are so we can move forward. So I'll ask you to come in first, Ms. Skinner, and then I'll ask the Chief Executive.
Thanks very much, Chair. It's just to highlight that training now has all the training plans from the services. This is something that had not been so much of a priority during COVID by some of the services who were really busy, but we've now got all the training plans back up and running. They were alongside your papers with the budgets in February. We're looking at corporate induction and we've done a few things already. HR are now providing the training team with the list of all the new starts. We have, to support the services, what we're now doing is we're putting out invites and we're running extra corporate training courses to ensure that we catch up. Corporate training we're running on Teams as well as in person. and that will hopefully encourage more people to participate as well, rather than, you know, the old way was that everybody had to travel up, you know, and sit round the room and do corporate induction, etc. But we're now doing that on Teams to try and engage everybody more on that. A couple of other key points. Our health and safety policy is now updated, and the central database that's mentioned in the report, we do have a system in place already, and we will look at in future, when we've got the Resource Link project fully up and running, we will look at incorporating training into that, but that's kind of down the line because it's a significant project and there is significant costs with it.
Okay,
Happy to take any other questions.
Thank you for that. Maybe the Chief Executive, do you want to comment about the line manager?
Yes, yes. I mean, this is very disappointing because we've just looked at a report which says the satisfaction with training is over 90%, and you see in the appendix to the report earlier on the agenda, you know, the frankly bewildering array of training that we provide. And what the issue here is that managers are not directing staff towards particularly corporate induction, which is not acceptable. And Ms. Skinner has very kindly, in my view, provided extra means for managers to assist managers in doing that, but the responsibility is on them. And I have asked for a report to see where the deficiencies lie, and we will ensure better performance in future, because it's very annoying. The training is there; it's very good. Its satisfaction rates are high. It isn't difficult really to ensure that your colleagues take advantage of it. So that's just a management failure. So we will at whatever level. So we will identify that and deal with it.
Okay, thank you for that assurance. Councillor Gordon Murray.
Thank you, Chair. I think I've asked regarding training. I've asked a number of times at this committee with regards to training for members of this particular committee. I believe SIPFA guidance on the role of audit committees in the UK makes it clear that sitting on such a committee as this, the Scrutiny Overview Committee, must have received the appropriate training. And I think we haven't received separate training for this committee. Now, I don't know if maybe the external audit could corroborate what I'm saying. But I've asked many times. I think it's very important that we receive this kind of training. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I'm going to ask Mr. Langley to come in first of all and possibly answer that. Mr. Gomez and I had discussions following that request that you have had, Mr. Murray, as well. So first of all, I'll ask Mr. Langley to come in, and then maybe Mr. Gomez might want to follow in from there. Mr. Langley first.
Thank you, Chair. I think all I can say at the moment is that we're currently finalising members' training plans for the rest of the term. So if this is something which needs to be included, then it's very timely that it's raised now, because it can certainly be included.
Mr. Gomez.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. It's just to say really that having looked at the induction training that was given to members previously, I find that it's quite detailed and informative of the role of the members on the committee. But however, there has been new SIPFA guidance released within the last 6 months that details the elected members' role on the audit and scrutiny committees. It is a copyrighted document, but I'm happy to share with members of the committee so that they have this information. And I think having looked over it, it provides a pretty detailed explanation of the role and what their duties are on the committee.
Thank you for that, Mr. Gomez. Could I ask Councillor Murray that you maybe have a discussion out with the meeting with Mr. Gomez?
I think I'll go through the Chief Executive. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll ask the Chief Executive. Yeah.
Chair, just on that general point, I mean, thanks to Mr. Gomez for that assurance. And as Mr. Langley said, we are putting the programme of training for the rest of the term together, so we'll take that into account. But all I would say for our members of Audit Scrutiny Committee, the best training is to get into the detail of the reports, ask the questions, scrutinise what's being said, as you do, and you do that at whatever level you as members deem appropriate. But these are follow-up reports, usually from internal audit or their initial audits from internal audit, and they have the detail. They're happy to talk about them. So the best scrutiny is to read the detail of the report and then ask questions accordingly. But there is SIPFA guidance, as Mr. Gomez has said, and that will be circulated to you and included as part of the training.
Thank you, Chief Executive. Councillor Hossain.
Thanks very much, Chair. It was just a suggestion to Norma when we're talking about, obviously the role of managers, not encouraging the induction. I was just wondering, Norma, is it possible to make the induction as a first step to employment, just like the PVG or something, where the induction need to be done within a certain limit, especially the first week or two, specific time part of the employment contract or something? Just a suggestion, Norma. I don't know if it's. Thank you.
Skinner.
Thank you. Yes, it's something that we are looking at. We have corporate induction at the beginning of every month, and the aim is that every new start should have it within, in that month. We do have challenges because there aren't set dates that new starts start on. There's, because of the size of the Comhairle, there's people starting all the time. So it can be quite difficult to coordinate, but it's definitely something that we are looking at, about how HR and training can work together to try and support the coordination of this and ensuring that the managers are participating in the way that they're required to, and having these additional checks.
Thank you, Ms. Skinner. Thank you. Councillor Ray McKenzie.
Yes, Chairman. Just going back to the actual committee itself, I'm not quite sure. Obviously, there's been big changes in the last 6 months, I gather, or instructions or regulations. So do I gather that we're going to be sent these out, or are we going to, in fact, have some training course, or just purely getting the information?
I'll ask Mr. Gomez to come in and answer that.
It's not so much that there's been big changes, it's just really an updated SIPFA guidance document for elected members on their role. Certainly in the first instance, I'm happy to send that out for members to have a look through and discuss. And as Mr. Langley said, if there's something additional that's needed, that could be provided as part of the training plans for members.
Thank you for that, Mr. Gomez. Okay, I'm not seeing any further questions. The members agree to note the report. Okay. I'm going to move on with the committee's approval to reports outstanding at the moment, because the Chief Executive has to leave us for another engagement. So there's one on there that I really wanted the Chief Executive to give us an update on before he leaves. So do with the Lewis Castle when we're going to have this special meeting of audit. So I'll ask the Chief Executive to give us an update before he leaves. Chief Executive.
Yes, thank you, Chair, and apologies to the committee. I'm required at the visit of the Cabinet Secretary for Education, which is taking place just now. And Mr. Langley will take my place here to act as Principal Advisor to the committee. Just on the Lewis Castle, the one outstanding item, which is of course the report by the external solicitor, that's in its final stages of preparation. So I anticipate receiving that within the next couple of weeks, and then we'll immediately try and set a date for the committee to speak to him and review the report and the findings. So I would, unfortunately, that is starting to move into the recess, but we will fix it as soon as possible. Obviously, it's as you can imagine, it's a detailed report. There's a lot of material. Final requests for information. All of that's been provided, so the report is now at its final stage. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. So Gordon Murray, will you receive your hand up?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I was just going to ask why the delay, because I think we've been promised in the last number of committees a special meeting. But good that it's going to be in the next 2 weeks. Is that a guarantee from yourself, Chair?
I think from my understanding, I'm in constant dialogue with the Chief Executive about this because it has taken quite a while. And my understanding is that the solicitor in question has asked for further information, which the Chief Executive has just given him in the last couple of days. So it is still ongoing until he's happy that he's got all the answers to the questions he's asked. You know, we can't really move forward, but it will happen as soon as we possibly can. And I understand we're at the final stages of that now. So I'll just ask the Chief Executive just briefly to confirm that.
Yes, that's exactly it, Chair. The individual concerned is an experienced litigation solicitor, so he has court and tribunal work quite frequently. He's also been on holiday for about 3 weeks, so there's an inevitable delay there. But it's all proceeded, and it's for him to direct what he wants to read and what he wants to look at. But that is now concluded, and all final submissions and information have been made or provided. So it's now for him to complete the report, which he assures me he will do as quickly as possible, and then we will arrange the meeting. I have to receive the report, of course, and I might have any, there might be issues to be clarified there. And then the report will go to this committee.
Thank you for that, Chief Executive. Thank you. Okay, so I think we're on reports outstanding. I think that's the only one that is left on. Sorry, Ray, were you want to come in?
Just on that point, is he coming to speak on his conclusions?
And he's coming in personally, so he will be in the chamber to address it personally with us.
And will we have an opportunity to speak to him, either individually or as a committee?
Yeah, I'll ask the Chief Executive just to.
Certainly as a committee, I think I was very clear. I wanted the individual to speak to the committee directly and not just provide a report. And that's I think that makes sense. You don't. I asked for the appointment of an external advisor here, and it's right that the committee. For that reason, I think it's right that the committee hear from the external advisor directly.
Who appoints these external advisors? I mean, you make a request to which body and they pick somebody, presumably?
No, Chair, it was a recommendation of the internal audit report that I appoint an external advisor to assist with that aspect of the investigation, and I did.
Thank you, Chief Executive. Councillor Murray, is that a legacy, or are you coming back in?
Sorry, Chair, just to clarify, is that correct that there will be, it won't be an item on agenda, it'll be a special meeting dedicated to that one issue? Would that be correct? Or the issue of the castle project? Because obviously there's other issues that have been brought up this series that are concerning as well.
Chief Executive.
Well, it won't be to discuss any other issues. This is simply to address the employment law aspects of the previous internal audit report, and it follows exactly the remit set by the then chief internal auditor and approved by this committee to report on those aspects alone. The external advisor will not have any knowledge of other matters. So I imagine it will be a special meeting. I think that's probably best, although it depends what the report says, of course. But the next meeting won't be till September, and I think that's too long. So I think we'll be looking at a special meeting as soon as we can. Okay, but it will just be on those aspects as he was required to investigate.
Councillor Murray, you.
Yes, sorry, thanks for your indulgence. I know that one of the aspects was to a review of the processes of the financial evaluations of the tenders. So I hope that's been covered as well. That was in the report in January. So thanks.
Okay. Anything else on the reports outstanding? We'll just finish the reports. I think they're all up to date, and they. Okay, thank you. Okay, so thank you. Okay, so we now move on to item 14, which is construction. It's another internal audit completed review. This report by the Chief Internal Audit has been prepared following an internal audit review of construction design and management as part of the operational annual internal audit plan for 23-24. The report provides an overview of the CONUS arrangements for the operational management of construction design and management regulations 2015. And Chrissy McCauley from the internal audit team will speak to this report. Ms. McCauley.
Thank you, Chair. This review was undertaken to gauge the awareness of the construction design and management regulations in the workplace. The CDM regulations are a suite of health and safety regulations, risk assessments and rules designed to improve health and safety in the workplace. From our review and testing throughout, we can confirm that it is well embedded in the processes undertaken by the building, planning and where we have construction undertaken on our behalf in the Comhairle. And to raise awareness in other areas, including offices, schools, we have recommended that a general statement be drawn up and sent to all Comhairle employees. We graded this as a low grading. You can see that at 2.1, page 3. And on page 4 are findings and recommendations and management agreement. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. McCauley? No. Members agreed, note the report. Thank you. We now move on to internal audit follow-up reports, item 15 on your agenda. The first one is education maintenance allowance. This report by the Chief Internal Auditor is for noting and provides an update to the committee on recommendations made in the education maintenance allowance report, which was issued on 16th May 2022. The follow-up review was undertaken in accordance with the operational annual internal audit plan for 22-23. The follow-up confirmed that 3 out of the 4 recommendations have been fully implemented, and management have confirmed that the remaining recommendation will be implemented by September this year. Mr. Gomez will speak to the report. Mr. Gomez.
Thanks, Chair. Nothing more to add to what you've said already. There's good progress being made, and we're happy with the plan in place to complete the final recommendation.
Thank you, and there's good progress made with this one. Members agree to note the report. Thank you. Item 16 is emergency planning. Again, a report by Mr. Gomez, Chief Internal Auditor, is for noting and provides an update on the recommendations made in the emergency planning report, which was issued on 6th October 2022. The follow-up review was undertaken in accordance with the operational annual internal audit plan for 22-23. The follow-up confirmed that 3 out of the 7 recommendations have been fully implemented, and management have confirmed that the remaining recommendations will be implemented by agreed timescales. And again, Mr. Gomez will speak to this report.
Thanks, Chair. Again, nothing much to add. There is good progress being made, even though there are only 3 of the recommendations fully implemented. As we heard earlier in the meeting today from the Finance and Risk Management Officer, the business continuity plans have made huge progress as well. So that's another recommendation that's likely to be fully implemented soon, and we're happy with the progress on the remaining standing recommendations.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Any questions? Mr. Councillor Christian Robertson.
Thank you, Chair. Not a member of your committee. I just want to ask internal audit in terms of response back to members in relation to concerns. I raised an issue in terms of the removal of the fuel storage at Benbecula, particularly in relation to the air ambulance service. The response I got back was we're keeping an eye on it type thing, which I found highly unsatisfactory, because there has been a lot of pressure on us as elected members about the removal of the fuel bunkering at Benbecula. So I just wondered how that process is supposed to work in relation to a query from elected members about something that does concern the community in terms of how it's going to be handled going forward.
Thank you for that, Councillor Robertson. Mr. Gomez. Yeah.
I'm not aware of what Councillor Robertson's referring to, so it's something that I'm happy to discuss with further outside of the meeting if you want.
Perhaps you could have a discussion outside the meeting, Councillor Robertson, and come back to us if there is any further issues. Thank you. Members agreed to note this report then? Thank you, agreed. Item 17 is financial assessments. Again, a report by the Chief Internal Auditor for noting and provides an update on the recommendations made in the financial assessments report, which was issued on 31st August 2022. The follow-up review was undertaken in accordance with the operational annual internal audit plan for 22-23. The follow-up confirmed that 3 out of the 5 recommendations have been fully implemented, and management have confirmed that the remaining recommendations will be implemented by June 2023. And again, Mr. Gomez will speak to the report.
Thanks, Chair. Again, nothing further to add to your initial comments. good progress again on the report. I'm happy that hopefully the final 2 recommendations will be completed soon.
Thank you. Members happy to agree to note this report? Thank you. We've covered item 18, reports outstanding. Now, the next main scheduled meeting of the committee will be on Thursday, 21st October 2023, but there will be another meeting, 21st September 2023, but there will be another meeting later on this month, I think it's 28th of the month, to approve the accounts for external audit. So we will notify all members of that meeting. It has been advised by Shona, it has been sent out, so the invites are out. So thank you all for your participation today, and I hope you get to enjoy the rest of the day in the sunshine. Thank you all very much.